What's up, guys? So I've been deep in the tank. This set's been out for a week now, almost a week now. It came out like the 9th or the 10th, I believe, of like last Friday. And yeah, I've been like super deep in the tank with this deck. And you know, a lot of people told me, you know, it can't be done, man. You need that new promo. This deck is like really bad right now without that new promo. And then her name is Implusa. I have no idea when we're gonna get it. Nobody does. Shout outs to Bushy Road. But yeah, I read what her effect does, and I was like, oh, she's just an attack extender. That doesn't solve the problems I was having with the deck itself. So the first tournament I took it to was at Versus Gaming's, and the problem I was having there, like that was like I was going in cold. The first draft / iteration of the deck, going in cold. And the problem I was having was I didn't have no consistency. I felt like I didn't have any consistency in getting my mask and getting the Superior Ride off. So I put the grade 2 mask searcher into the deck, and then I was like, yeah, this is great. Like I got it. I went from I only resolved the Superior Ride once that tournament to the next tournament I went to at House Rules Games. I resolved the Superior Ride every round. So I was like, this is great. This is great. And then at House Rules Gaming, I ran into another consistency issue. Was I was running into the problem of this guy. When I mean the mask searcher, I'm talking about this guy, Burning Skull. But I was running into another problem to whereas, man, now the issue I'm having right now is consistency in getting 4 different names in Soul. Because at the time, I was only running one Juled in the ride deck. I wasn't running the old Juled, which I figured out later, like that's just the best consistency you have, because that gets you 2 different grades right off the bat, no matter where it is, off of the mask's ability, off the mask's first ability. So I reworked the deck, played that, and then I was still having some issues. Like Counterblast was an issue as well. I was trying to run the Countercharger, but there was a lot of times that the Countercharger was just, because it was Countercharge in the middle of the battle phase, more importantly, in the middle of the battle phase after you've already attacked and resolved your Vanguard's ability, the Countercharge was too slow. So I ultimately decided to cut the Countercharger, even though in the beginning I did like the Countercharge in the deck. So I cut that card too, and it was just really hard in terms of, damn, like what consistency cards can I run to help like smooth out the deck? I tried Twin Marble. I know a lot of people were hyped for Twin Marble on release, bro. That card's a bait. That card's trash. You heard it from me here, folks. Wow, there's like a little bit of an echo, but you heard it here, folks. That card is bait. That card's trash. It's a really bad card. It only works if you already have the ball rolling, and then the scry ability to like soul charge it. Like let's say like it's not a trigger, but it's not the grade you needed to go. You needed to go into the soul either. So that's just like kind of my conundrum was. And then another conundrum I was facing in that same boat of soul consistency of 4 different grades was Baby Girl. The cat, which was the best card in this deck for the longest time, actually didn't really mesh well with Juled Mask's first effect of removing older Juled from the game, because there was a lot of times that when I resolved the Mask's effect, I have like ×2 of every grade in my soul. So there was a lot of times and there was even times where I couldn't even set it up to whereas I could get the extra soul charge off the cat anyway by soul charging 2 cards from the drop zone of the same grade with the Mask's effect. So I decided to ultimately cut her out the deck, and I was trolling VG Paradox for Juled lists. I kind of like, I was at a midst because I really wanted to give up, but I didn't want to give up at the same time because I know everybody else wanted me to give up. It's like, oh, just play another deck. Like, I really didn't want to do that, you know, because it's easy to give up. Like, it's too easy to give up, but it's hard to like actually sit through the rough of it. Like you're in the middle of the shit, and it's hard. Sorry for cursing. It's hard to just like move through that and still try and build like the best deck possible. Try to play it as optimally as possible as you can, because that was my goal with this deck, to build the best list I could possibly can with the cards that I have available to me right now, and play it to top performance. But yeah, you know, I saw what Japan was doing. All except one list, all topping Jeweled lists were the same, damn near the same. They were running let's get into the list. Let's get into the list, and then I'll explain more. I don't want to spoil too much. I don't want to spoil the deck profile too much just by talking. But I'm getting into the main deck. Of course, the Juled ride line. The Juled ride is really like still very good, like very good ride line. No complaints in the Juled ride line itself. But going on to our grade 3s, we're playing 4 copies of Juled Masks. It's just mandatory. He is, you know, he's the all-star of the deck. He's what you built your deck around. So 4 copies of the Juled Mask, and then only 3 copies of Mask of Hydrogum. I would cut a grade 2 to maybe play a 4th one, but because I'm not running the Searcher anymore, and I'm not dead set on actually like resolving it in hand, because there was a lot of times where I had the Searcher in hand, but I had a Mask in hand as well. I would draw it quite frequently, even at 3, and I would pitch the extra copies and then use the Searcher anyway to search the other Mask, which was like, it was nice. It was really nice to be able to just throw away the extras as like dead cards or like free discards basically, or like pseudo free discards. But just like that Counterblast and Soul Blast was very awkward to manage sometimes. There was a lot of times where I can't play this out on turn 2. I'd have to wait till turn 3 to, because it would mess up my ride line. Like, I need 3 different grades to proc the grade 2 to get the draw and the Soul Charge. But yeah, only 3 masks, because you just need to see 1 in drop to resolve the Superior Ride. So that's the theory behind 3. And then 3 more of the main original Jeweled in the main deck. This is just your best way of managing to make sure you always have 4 different grades in Soul. So it's really important that you do max out on 4 copies of this. Originally, I thought you could get away with just running the 1, but that's unfortunately not the case. We don't have enough consistency cards to say that, oh, we don't have to run this card that's only like fodder for Masked to be able to get our skills off. Going on to the grade 2s, bread and butter of the deck, especially because this deck it can go first, but because of Rock or Gore, which is your best rear guard, you really do want to go second. You pop off the most going second, especially since the Mask activates Persona Ride. But this deck generally does want to, it can go first or second. You could still pull off the Superior Ride, and you could still give Mask a crit to pressure. But for 4 copies of Rock or Gore, he's our only restander as of right now. And the 10k power up is just like very nice, especially when you Superior Ride Persona Ride. Just, you know, max it out. You know, this is like not necessarily your win condition, but it's a main combo piece of your deck along with the masked cards. And then this, if we had Implusa, this would be Implusa, but we don't have Implusa, and I was really toying with what to put in this slot. Like, you could cut one of these to put an extra mask if you don't feel comfortable with 3 masks. But I was saying like, oh, I need another power card, or I need another powerful attacker, oh, I need another consistency card. And then at the end of the day, I landed on Shadow Leak Magician, which it's a card from set 1 that you might not know what its effect is. Basically, it can't be targeted by it has a continuous effect on rearguard. It can't be targeted by your opponent's card effects, which means this is just really good because there's a lot of decks right now that have spot removal or like have mass removal, and you really don't like that. It really hurts like your grind game, or like your mid-level grind game, to whereas you couldn't kill him on the first you know, major, like put them to 1 Persona Ride swing, so you have to do it on the second one, and just having your board either wiped or having your board majorly decimated was like very bad for this deck. This deck really doesn't like it when the board is just completely like decimated. Which, of course, Gandiva, one of the forerunners in the format right now, in a set 10 format, decimates boards. Like, he eats boards for lunch. So that's the main reason why we're playing Shadow Leak Magician. And I know, like, you could also say, like, oh, you really can't play around Gandiva because then they're just going to get the draw on you anyway and set up anyway. True, but the way I found that you play against the matchup, which you actually do have a fair chance of winning in that matchup, it's not impossible. What I found was you just kind of like, you take solace in the fact that you make your peace in the fact that no matter what, they're going to be able to do what they want to do anyway. So you just try and play your best game. And like, if you need to hold back a little bit, like say like, oh, like I could call everything right now and push a little bit, but let's just give a few points of damage and then go for that kill turn next turn. Sometimes that's what you have to do against a deck like that because they have that heavy board removal. But 4 copies of Shadow Lake Magician, like I said, probably not going to do a deck profile in the future when that promo does come out, but this would be Implusia if we did have Implusia. Going on to the grade 1s, now this is where instead of the cat, which I really like the cat, I really hate that I had to take the cat out the deck because it was my favorite card in this deck. It was the best consistency card of this deck, got me out of so many jams. But instead of the cat, we're playing 4 copies of Brainwash Swirler and 4 copies of Gungaram. So basically you're running like a little mini, ooh, that's a really bad glare. Oh, there we go. That's better. Like, oh no, that's not as good. All right, that's kind of better. But basically, this just really helps. The swirlers help because you generally have a hard time naturally without your Rock Gores activating or without Persona Ride hitting certain power thresholds, and just being able, at least on your first grade 3 ride, pump up the swirler to like plus 15, plus 20, plus 25 is very nice. And the reason that we're running the Gungan Rams is the Gungan Rams plus the swirlers, basically this is like a mini soul charge engine of you didn't draw your mask, that's fine. You could have the possibility, a very high possibility, because you're soul charging like a bunch of cards in one turn, like 5 to 6 cards in one turn. You could, like 4 to 5 cards in one turn. You could soul charge the mask, and if you soul charged it, cool, you could soul blast it with Gungaram, get yourself a draw, and then still get the Superior Ride off anyway, and you don't have to worry about that's going to mess with, because you're soul charging so much, it's going to mess with your 4 different grades, because you still have the consistency of just removing the old Juled from the game to get 2 fresh new grades from your drop zone back into your soul with Juled Masked. So this is like a, when I first saw this, I was like, that's kind of weird. Why are they running this engine? And then I did a couple test games with it, and then it just came to me, like when I saw these cards together in combination, it just came to me like, wow, this is just like a really nice soul charge engine and just like a really nice like recovery engine that lets you like get back the cards you committed to board with your Gungan Rams, because you're soul charging so much. And because like the way you can manipulate your soul with Juled Mask, you don't really care if you don't really care if like, oh man, I have to soul blast 3, but then like I ruined my soul, because Mask just makes sure that you always have the 4 different grades damn near instantaneously. You're always going to have the 4 different grades in soul because your ride line already provides you a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 0. So you'll always have the 4 different grades in soul, and if, like say, if you just soul charge all of 1 grade, that's cool. You can just shuffle around those 4 cards from your ride line until you do get more different grades that you do need. Another card I thought about running instead of Shadow Lake Magician was Squealish Freaks. This is a promo card that came out not too long ago. It was a tournament promo. I believe it's still the tournament promo, unless we moved on to next month's tournament promo. I'm not too sure. But its ability is, if you did not ride this turn from the soul, it gets grade +2. And then its second ability is, when your Vanguard swings, if you did not ride this turn, you could bind it from the soul and give your front row +5k to the turn. That's another card I thought about running instead of the Shadow Lake Magician. The Shadow Lake Magician is just more of a meta call on my part, so this could actually be just like anything you want. But I thought about running that instead. I tried running the discard fodder, the Persona Ride discard fodder that came out in this set, which is this mat. The beautiful lady on this mat. I tried running that too. It just really didn't work out because it kind of like messed with my soul in the early game. To whereas it's really, in the early game, it's really important that you just don't touch your soul. And then after you ride up to grade 3, you could damn near do whatever you want with your soul. But it just really wasn't helpful in the early game. And then its board building effect is a counterblast too, which you really just want to use your counterblast for Masked and Rock Gore, because this deck is very counterblast heavy, because Rock Gore costs a CB and your mask to reduce your opponent to 1 every turn costs a CB. So you're just naturally CBing like 2 to 3 cards every turn. So that's another reason why I didn't run that card instead. But like I said, until we get Implusia, this can technically be whatever you want. Getting on to the rest of the deck, 3 DPGs. 1 Blitz Order PG. I was thinking about just running 4 DPGs because this deck really doesn't like generate that big of a hand. But Messiah just did come out, and I know a lot of people want to, especially at my locals, 2 different locals. I know there's a lot of different people that do want to like toy around with that deck. So just be safer and sorry for now, and run the Blitz Order PG if you have it. Getting onto the triggers, I'm still on the camp of 4 vanilla heals are the way to go. I know certain people are running, or I saw a lot of lists in Japan actually, that they were running like 2 to 4 of the plus 15k if the unit has a crit heal. I don't like that because it's for Gandiva. It's definitely for Gandiva. I don't like that for the simple fact of like, yes, it can technically 1-card guard Gandiva. The problem with that is it's never a no to pass. It's either a 2 to pass or an over trigger to pass. And like the deck runs fronts. If they get a front first, that's no contest. And then if you get another trigger, you know, your 1-card guard lost you the game. So that's my thought process on it. It might change in the future. I might end up running 2 of it in the future, but I don't have no faith in those types of cards as of right now, because I've lost games because of those effect heals. I've never won a game because of those effect heals. 4 vanilla crits from the DRAJEWELED starter deck, might I add. 4 into soul crits. Not really necessary. It never comes up, but it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I might switch these out in the future for just 5k crits to make better numbers, but I'm not too sure just yet. But I'm maxing it out for now just in case if I do need it. This is where like me and the Japan DRAJEWELED lists are gonna differ a lot. They run even with this heavy soul charge engine, which like you get through your deck super fast in this deck. You go through your deck super fast. They still run draw triggers. They run like 3 to 4 draw triggers in all the DRAJEWELED mask lists that I saw on VG Paradox. Shout out to VG Paradox though. Very, very useful data. But very useful data. But I'm still, especially in these soul charge heavy decks, I've been a Dark States main since day 1. I just feel like fronts are way better, especially since a majority of Dark States decks are combo decks, and fronts just, especially if you go second, which this deck strategy, it ideally wants to go second. Fronts just help you survive to get to your kill turns / pressure turns. And then one of the Dark States OT, I might change this in the future for the OT that like makes a rearguard restand or calls a card from your hand and makes a rearguard restand. I might change it for that OT in the future. I'm not too sure, but with the cards we have right now, this is my current DRAJEWELED mask list. At the first tournament, I went X3, X2. I only won 1 round, and then the last, X3 because I just dropped the last round because I was just so disappointed in myself and like how I performed and disappointed in the deck. I knew the deck needed changes, and that's the main reason why I didn't give up on it. And I ultimately, you know, I came to this list the hard way instead of like I took, you know, the easy way of just looking on a VG Paradox and see, hey, what's Japan doing? Hey, if 90% of these people are doing this lineup, why didn't you try that first, dummy? But we came to the same conclusion, basically. And then at the House Rules Gaming Locals, it was a 3-round tournament. I went X2, I won 1 and I lost 2. Again, I really wasn't happy with my performance, but I didn't let that stop me to try and find the best version of this deck. And I do intend, I will still be giving you guys content on different decks because I have a lot of cool ideas for different decks in this format right now. I'm really excited for this meta. Like at first, like getting destroyed with DRAJEWELED really like crushed my spirits, but after I realized that's just a setback to a set up, I'm really excited for what I can do in this meta with these new cards. So next week, you're gonna be seeing more DRAJEWELED content. I plan on at least topping, if not, the goal is to always win. The goal is to always shoot for first place. In my personal opinion, like the goal is always to shoot for first place. Why are you entering if you're not shooting for first place? Or like if you're not, like you're just trying to have fun, of course. If you're not just trying to have fun, you should always shoot for first. But my goal is to top at least one local tournament with this deck, because I do not believe this is a bad deck right now. It is not the best, but I do believe this deck right now can compete. If you are a fan of Darkseid's, if you are a fan of DRAJEWELED, this deck can and will compete in this current meta, even without Implusia. But anyways, guys, I know this is a long one. I had a lot I wanted to go over because I put a lot of time and effort into this deck, and I wanted you guys to reap the rewards of that. But anyways, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, just share the channel, guys. Share the channel as much as you can. Like every video as much as you can. It takes 1 second. And we could really grow. We've gotten so close to our goal. We can really grow this channel to like 1,000 subs or over to 1,000 subs. I'm gonna be giving you guys more consistent content like this, more in-depth content like this to look forward to in the future. Anyway, guys, later. Peace.